I'm very excited to share with you guys my work on cognitive dissonance and statism. I'm reading it off a reference sheet that I have in order to reference while enacting this, but also for you to look into these notions. So, the article you've accessed is about holding two conflicting views simultaneously: the political doctrine of the state being legitimate to some degree, as well as true morality. So, these are going to be my talking points in front of people. Uh, the context is going to be governmental authority and moral principles. This is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance happens in your mind. All things happen in your mind, referencing the mentalism natural law from the Kabbalion. Cognitive and cognition, the definitions from Merriam-Webster.com. Cognitive refers to conscious intellectual activity such as thinking, reasoning, or remembering. Cognition is a term referring to the mental processes involved in gaining knowledge and comprehension. These cognitive processes include thinking, knowing, remembering, judging, and problem solving. They are higher level functions of the brain and encompass language, imagination, perception, and planning. Dissonance. The definition, according to Merriam-Webster.com. Dissonance refers to a lack of agreement or inconsistency between beliefs or actions. Cognitive dissonance is bizarre. In this context that we're talking about, it's insanity. It's very common, so much so that uh, it's offensive. Yeah, it's so bizarre, and yet it's very common. It's just offensive. And I say it's offensive, but how can I make that make sense? It's an offense. It's an offense to reality. That's what it is. It's an offense to the functions of the world. Cognitive dissonance in this context. It's an illusion. Once you see it, you'll be able to stop seeing it. It's off. I'm thinking it's brought up, not brought upon by misunderstanding, so much it's planted there. This authority. The political doctrine of the state being legitimate to some degree as well as true morality. The political doctrine are legislations which attempt to dictate right versus wrong. This is not legitimate to any degree because it is rooted in violence. It is self-evident that principles of objective morality are legitimately binding to everyone without flux. We all have equal rights, therefore we can all equally wrong. Wrongdoings are violations of another person's rights. All of you would say you're good people, yet some of you support democracy. All of you would say you're good people. Good is morally right, righteous, possessing and displaying moral virtue. Yet some of you support democracy. Moral people do not try to pass off their sovereignty. It's done by voting. Nor do they condone violence. Violence, rape, theft, assault, trespass, coercion, murder, deception. If not democracy, then some other form of government. The form of the system is not what makes government immoral. The evil is within the actions of the people that make up these systems. What is wrong with democracy? Democracy is held up together by authority, like other governments. The real question is, what is wrong with authority? Authority is coercion, trespass, theft, deception. It's coercion because you're being told you have to do something or you're going to be punished. Do this or this is going to happen. Even if you don't want to do it, you're going to want to do it. You're going to do it. It's trespass because your free will is your property and they're taking that away from you through the coercion. It's theft because the free will is your property and they're stealing it from you. It's deception because authority is an attempt to claim a moral obligation for you to obey, which is false. You have no moral obligation to obey any authority. It's also rape of the mind. Authority is an assault on your freedom. And to believe in authority is murdering your free will. It should be common sense that people are created equal, but many people cannot say what is wrong with authority. This is not as shallow as our thinking goes. We can critically think and understand what is being proposed. Authority is claiming ownership by being allowed to dominate and punish for non-compliance. So we're going around saying that we're all created equally, but people can't say what's wrong with authority. It's as if our thinking is so shallow that we cannot critically think and understand that authority is a claim of ownership, and a claim of ownership entails slavery, and slavery is not equality because it only it only it only it only serves to dominate one person over another. Authority is claiming ownership, being allowed to dominate and punish for noncompliance. Authority is an absence. Anarchy is an absence of authority. Anarchy is an absence of masters and slaves. Which sounds fine until a woman feels like all that is between her and constant lifelong rape is governmental law. So the woman has been raised to think that government protects her. And it seems to take great effort for the woman to agree that men are not raping her because government tells them not to, and see more so that women are being raped even while government is hailed. A lot of people can't see the chaos the in this society prevalent with the system prevalent, and they only focus on the chaos that may happen if there is no system. The responsibility of your own physical safety does not change in a world of anarchy. Anarchy cannot magically stop people from making immoral actions. The major drawback of anarchy is that it is impossible without people being willing to spiritually ascend. The spiritual aspect of anarchy is most often overlooked, more than any other part of the philosophy. Anarchy requires morality. Without this, another system would rise out of domination. There will always be a threat to freedom. How this is handled by statists is to impose regulated violence, making statists a threat to their own freedom. That is a good example of cognitive dissonance. The anarchist does not look at the amount of work needed to reach the hearts and minds of people around the world as a drawback. Just like everything else in life, action is required to create change. This is so happen to be the most difficult thing to do. This is not something one person can do on their own. The struggle for freedom has evolved for hundreds of thousands of years. In ancient history, authority is said to be introduced by gods. There are characters in every region of the ancient world, characters that are depicted as symbols of authority because either they were a god or because they share the same bloodline of a god. This is how the world has been operating.